Hi everybody, it's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. Today I'm going to be making a card with a very pretty, shimmery, colorful background using Nuvo mousse and direct to paper techniques. This is actually my first time playing with the Tonic Nuvo embellishment mousse, and I've got three colors: pink flambe, aquamarine, and mother of pearl. And I'm just going to go ahead and unscrew the caps here so you can see what the product is like inside the jar. It's got a really interesting texture. It's very thick and creamy and spreadable. And I would say the consistency of it is a lot like butter or cream cheese or frosting. That sounds kind of yummy. The colors sure are yummy, but yeah, you don't want to eat it. So I'm going to go ahead and take my palette knife. I had to kind of like spread it around in there and mix it up because I was like, wow, that's just really cool how thick that is. And I'm just going to scoop a little bit of that off and spread it there onto my cardstock. You can certainly use it like that to give dimension to your projects. It's got quite a bit of hold to it. It's like it's not going to drip or run down your cardstock there, although you could spritz it with water if you wanted to thin it down. So now I'm going to try what I wanted to do. I wanted to create kind of a really cool painted shimmery effect, and so I made some daubers out of some cosmetic wedges and a binder clip so that I could go ahead and load that up with color. Now you can spread this stuff with your fingertips or with a brush, with a foam sponge, all kinds of things, but I don't like getting it on my hands, even though it does clean off really easily with a baby wipe or just, soap and water. It will clean up very easily. But I just kind of liked the way it glides across the paper. And this is Nina Solar White that I'm working with. And this applicator I've made out of the cosmetic wedge and the binder clip just seems to spread it very nicely. And I liked the look. So I just went ahead and took some of that pink flambe and spread that across and kind of making almost like paint smears or swatches in this direction across my piece of cardstock. And when that's dry, I can continue adding more. And so I grabbed the next color, which is the mother of pearl, and I was able to swipe that over the top of it, and it did not reactivate the pink flambe color that was underneath. And so it is translucent enough when you start spreading it out like this that the color underneath will show through. So it's kind of cool that you can layer it like that, and I'm still getting a pretty smooth finish, and I'm just going to keep going and adding the next color too until I'm finished with this process. I wanted to hold this closer up to the camera for you so that you could see how shimmery and pearlescent it is. It's a really beautiful effect, and it doesn't take long to dry, especially when you have a thin coat like this. So it's relatively flat because I spread a thin layer of each of these colors onto the paper, and I'm just going to set that aside to dry for a few minutes. And then when I did, I noticed that it does not smear. Once it's dry and set, it does not smear at all, even though I rubbed pretty vigorously with my fingers. And it does not smear and come off. The shimmer does not come off or transfer to my fingertips. So I thought that was cool. Tonic also makes these really cool dual-tipped brushes that have very stiff bristles on them, and you can use that to dab into the mousse and then swipe that across your cardstock. And you can use a real light touch and just go back and forth, and it will fill in the color there all across. I'm working on Nina Desert Storm craft cardstock here, and you can see it's giving pretty good coverage, and I'm just almost making my own craft shimmery cardstock by just running that brush back and forth after I loaded it. And I thought that was so shimmery and pretty, and I was really surprised at how well it showed up on the craft cardstock. And then I decided to go ahead and flip the brush over to load up with the pink color. And I'm not putting too much on there, I'm just tapping it and dabbing it into that jar to load the tips of the bristles. I didn't want to be too heavy-handed because I would really rather start off lighter and then add more as I need it, because this stuff does dry pretty fast. So I didn't want to have too heavy an application um, before I was, certain about what I wanted to do. But I'm just kind of testing and experimenting right now. But it was kind of a really neat way to get almost an ombre effect here on the craft cardstock. So just back and forth in the same direction, back and forth with the brush there. And wow, it was really easy. It just pretty much just glides across the paper surface, and there you can get that effect of the ombre color, one color shifting into the next, and it looks so pretty and shimmery. It's just an amazing finish that is super, super shimmery and pearlescent, but it's still flat because you're applying such a thin coat. Now, I decided I wanted to use the technique with the cosmetic wedges that I had done earlier on my base card. So this is Neenah Solar White, 110 pound. I've already let it dry completely, and I went ahead and folded it in half and then loaded it into my Mini Misty. And then I'm going to work with a stamp set called Up the Happy, and I've already got that stamp positioned there where I want it on the card front. I'm going to close the lid to load that stamp, and then I can ink up with Brilliance Graphite Black. Now my pad was dry. I hadn't re-inked it for a while, and so I was not going to end up with the intensity of black that I wanted, but it's okay because all I have to do is re-ink the stamp and stamp again over the top. And I can do that as many times as I need to get it as black as I want. You could also use Archival Jet Black. It is a permanent dye-based ink, but in order to avoid slipping and sliding on the surface that you've coated with this mousse, it really helps to use the Misty to just keep everything anchored down. You don't have to worry about sliding across your paper surface. So once the ink is dry, I'm ready to embellish my card front, and I've already taken the butterfly stamp and I heat embossed it with white embossing powder, and I stamped it with Versamark ink onto some vellum cardstock that I had handy, and then I die cut them all out after I heat embossed them. I wanted all the butterflies to kind of have their wings popped up, so I bent them a little bit in half, and then I'm just going to apply some glossy accents to glue them down because it sets up very quickly and it dries clear. And I'm using a jewel picker tool here to grab my sequins and hold them up while I put a little dab of glossy accents underneath them. These are the Friendship Mix by Pretty Pink Posh. They're so pretty, and they're iridescent pink, and the glossy accent works pretty well with that fine tip nozzle there. You can get a nice fine bead, and the needle in the cap prevents it from clogging. We've got more still shots at the Classroom blog, and all the supplies featured in today's video are available at ellenhudson.com. Thanks for watching.